work on yourself. If you're ever on a vacation, it's good to work on yourself. So when you get back from the vacation, you want to be strong. So always rehab. Taking a day off, like, oh, I've been working all week. I've been working certain muscles all week. There's other muscles we need to work. So the thumbnail would be the theme today, which is the imbalance of the diaphragm. It's really, there's two sides. The right is significantly bigger. The left is probably 2/3 the size. Let's just start out. Hinges. Inhaling as you do. Exhaling as we come up. We're going to hit one side. Work that left. Sometimes you can even feel it. A little lateral hinge. Do more of a squat to start. But the hips still reaching behind us. Keep that going. So, one question I got this week. Did a deep dive into Blue Letter Bible. She asked, why? Why are we so imbalanced like that? This is a significant thing. These degenerate patterns, if something else doesn't claim your life, this imbalance will. Just because how it causes these degenerate patterns. So in 100 years, this imbalanced diaphragm, every breath you take will eventually claim your life. That's how significant this imbalance is. You can even see on that thumbnail how the rib cage is twisted. I see that in every person. Go at your own pace, nice and slow. So, immediately thought of Genesis 2. Like, is the word for rib there really rib? It is not. It's the only time in the Bible that Hebrew word is the transliteration is S-E-L-A, Selah, which is not the Selah in the Psalms. But that might have a connection. I'm not a Hebrew scholar, so I don't know. But that's the only time Selah is used for rib. It's usually the side of a structure. It's not anatomical at all. It's architectural term. Pulling over the hip as well. A lateral shift. So it says God took something from Adam's side. So the root word of Selah means curved. So a rib would be curved. So it makes sense they would choose that. There's something else that is curved. Or it should be curved. And that's the problem we have. It's the diaphragm, the domes. Both sides are curved. The problem with the left, it's smaller. And this overactivity of the psoas flattens the diaphragm. When you inhale, the ribs lift. That diaphragm should inflate upwards, but it's not. It's flat. It's lost its curve. So you're probably getting what I'm getting at here is that God took part of the diaphragm. And perhaps that was passed on as a genetic trait, given it to Eve as well, this imbalance, but also their children, because everyone has this imbalance. Let's do more of a hinge now, less squat, so less knee bend, just pull the hips way back. Go a little wider, nice and wide. Turn the feet in. Still shifting to one hip. Think like you're skating. Because you'd have to think of this almost like a flaw. Like I said, this works against you so much. Maybe it's just our culture, because we're so right hand dominant in our culture. Everything's right handed, even if you're left handed. This just really, that's why 90% of people are right handed, because of this diaphragm imbalance. Naturally, you're going to favor one side over the other. But it's its connection to the hip flexor that makes us really think about it today. Just a little knee bend here, especially in this wide stance, going to that one side. A little bend. Just letting the hip lead hinge back. So I have to do more digging, but Selah, in the Psalms, they would use it to end the Psalm, to pause. It's usually, they would think they're thinking, it's all guesswork anyways on their end. It's a musical term. Or I read to take a breath. So if this Selah is curved, they have no idea what it's for. This word, it's only used architecturally, for sides, so they wouldn't know exactly what Hebrew term for what organ or what body part. Was it just some skin on the side, or was it specifically to the diaphragm? Another word is chamber for Selah. So the diaphragm creates this chamber, it separates chambers. I think it makes a lot more sense than a rib. God breathed life into Adam. So Adam would have to, instead of being with someone, if a female was created, she would be as equal. But if he, essentially gave breath to her, she would be subservient to him, just as man is subservient to God, because Adam in the garden was supposed to be, it's not a sexist thing at all, Adam in the garden was supposed to be king of the garden, he was supposed to be the high priest that Jesus is supposed to be. Jesus is the second Adam. So it all comes together. There's my thoughts on that. Because in the garden there was the tree of life. So why is there this tree of life? If they could not die, perhaps the tree of life sustained them. So maybe Adam was created perfect, and maybe when we're glorified, maybe angels have balanced diaphragms. But I think this is a significant, purposeful flaw to limit your life. Of course, Adam and people before the flood lived longer. Maybe they knew something we didn't. Maybe they knew how to take care of their bodies to combat this flaw. This is very significant. Causes a lot of people pain. A lot of people don't notice how twisted, distorted they are. They get those every day. They're like, my low back doesn't hurt. They're like, well, it's very twisted, and you could feel the degenerative processes. The arthritis is building. Eventually, that's all neurological stress, and that's why we say it's connected to disease and death. It's because it can affect your nervous system. So a couple squats, deeper squats now. So I'm gonna lift my toes. You can't see them, but lift your toes. Grip the mat, balls of your feet. Hips behind you, bend the knees, open up. Driving the knees wide. Get those glutes to squeeze, not initially. Initially we're unlocking the hips, so the glutes kind of have to relax. And as we go down the glutes, engage. Trying to spread your mat. Step forcefully with the breath. Powerful breath. Even a little longer exhale than the inhale. Longer exhale on the left. Works that diaphragm more. Works that hip flexor more. Because it's good at inhaling. It's bad at exhaling. We'll slow our ascent. You can do 1 1/4. 5 more. Good. I think that's enough on that. Just a strange topic. If you have any wisdom, share it. We're gonna do a weird one today, a little Tai Chi move. It's from my buddy Jeremy Ries, who passed away. You know, our gym in Colorado, Regina Fitness is having a workout for him today. But when Jeremy would come to class, sometimes I'd let him teach. He was a strong guy, big guy. I even thought about like, all right, it's gonna be an intense workout for Jeremy today. I'm like, he would want something more restorative for me. So the zing swing here. When Jeremy and I would do this one, you could see like we had this intent look on our faces. You can see like we're trying to move water, heavy, liquid like honey. What a lot of people do, they'll get this dead look in their eyes. They're just swinging, or they're mobilizing from their low back. And we want to stiffen. Yes, S-side joints, your lumbar spine. It's the mid back. It's right in the back of the diaphragm, actually. It's where I want you twisting from. The hips, as we're going to one side, the right hip's rolling in, left hip's rolling in. I'm lifting the heel a little bit. See that? On the shoulders. Pushing. So you could speed it up, you could slow it down. Bracing that core. Each swing, we're loosening up area on the rib cage. I'm sure there's a Tai Chi practitioner being like, that's not how you do it. That's okay. That's how we're doing it. So it really does have some elements of foundation training. And he would do this. He would teach class. He would just have us do this for the longest time. You can tell some people just hated it. Or his daughter just always like rotating from her low back. That's like, try it. Just try it. Good. All right. So I'm gonna go down to my knees here. So I just got my big old clunky rock kettlebell today. We'll keep it short and sweet today, boys. This one's for Jeremy. So I'm gonna double up the mat here. So you might be spending some time, so you might want to do the same on the knees. And you could do this standing. One of the reasons, I'll be honest, one of the reasons I'm doing this kneeling is I don't have a lot of clearance here, but I do like things on the knees. It just helps keep us a little more stable. Less arched from our low back. Helps me engage, helps me lock the knees down. And we're doing what we call a palm press, but I'm going to keep one hand on the handle. If you've got a really light weight, or just a dumbbell works. Go up here. So mainly pressing with my right hand. The other left hand is just there, so this doesn't drop on my head. And we're going to breathe and extend that right arm. Left arm would be a little back. Mostly focusing on the right, pressing. Breathing, getting most of my weight in my knees. Toes are tucked under me for now. 5 breaths. Long exhales. Then we'll do 5. Point the toes. Lock that up. You're just going to drop the butt down. Come on up. Switch sides. See, I'm tucking my toes for this first breathing part. Finding a good place on the board too. Where are the knees at? You could bring them together where I have them now, or you could have them wider like I did before. Overhead squat here. Here's what it is. Go a little wider. It does get heavy. All right. Let's go back up to our squat here. We're gonna do a back squat. We're gonna go wide on this one. So we're gonna bring the kettlebell behind the back. Let's do some around the world while we're here. I don't know how this works for this guy. It's a big boy. Yeah, it's awkward. Just a few of them, for my sake. Just oddly weighted. Grabbing, I like to place pretty much not on the skull, right below, what we call our suboccipital. That's that handle. Locking the back of the skull against that handle, pulling the chin in, elbows nice and wide. Hinge the hips back initially. Now we're squeezing the glutes, driving the knees out. We're gonna spend some time down here. We're just gonna rock. Lift one heel, let the knee go over toe. Lift the other heel, let the knees go over toe. Come on. Let's go to the front squat now. When we do the front squat, be careful about tucking the butt. Now the weight is centered, or it's more forward. Pull the hips back in response. Keep that low back protected. So we're more upright here. Less hinge. We still want to protect the low back. We'll do like we did in the warm-up. 1 1/4. 10 times. So it's a big inhale. got tired, and that's what I want. Focus on the breath today. The reason why I chose squat is I just believe it's in the squat. When you're in a squat position, the breath just works better. And a lot of people think, oh, big breath. It's not a big breath. It's a focused expansion of your sela, your sides, and your back. When you're down there, your stomach's engaging. It's hard to can't really breathe my belly out anymore. The breath feels labored, feels tough. Just opening those restricted areas in the sides and the back. Or when we're standing, the ribs tend to flare, especially on the left. It's smaller. Just to work harder because it is smaller. So it loves to open. You can feel it. Feel that puffed out more. Play around with it. But everyone is like that. You'll get different patterns. That left pelvis pulls forward sometimes. The right pelvis will start trying to pull forward to match it, but you still have that pattern. The neck, shoulders will do crazy things. Just think about your spine, pelvis being twisted. You're not going to walk around like this. Of course, your left shoulder, your right shoulder is to pull forward. And your neck too. Everyone's neck, these scalenes are really tight. The right upper trap is tight, the right lat is tighter. It's this constant twisting, this chokehold on your spine and your nervous system. And we wonder why we're in pain all the time. It's this slow thing. And I can see that, and other people can't. That's why I do this videos, because you understand like what you're dealing with, who you're fighting. So like look at this low back, puddle of edema and degeneration down here, and they just want to be cracked. Oh, that's decades of damage, and cracking probably just going to make it worse because it's so unstable. So we must strengthen it. So what we're trying to do here is not a stretch focus. Even when I'm doing just bodyweight things, it's strength focused. Let's do some swings. It's great for the low back once you've got some stability. Sometimes it can hurt the low back, but we're trying to be strict in the hips, squeezing the glutes. Let's do just a few founders. Actually, let's give the swings a second. We'll end with the swings. We'll just finish with one thing else I wanted to talk about. So here, feet forward. I'm going to pull the left leg behind me, push the right leg forward. You should notice that engages your left glute a little bit more. Then switch that up. Pull the right leg behind you. Almost naturally, you start pushing with the other legs. We're pulling with the right, pushing with the left. Should engage the right glute a little bit more. The right glute max tends to be weaker in our position. So see what you feel. Do you feel more strength on that left? Do you feel like a stronger pull from that foot? I feel it. You might not. I have surgery on this right foot, so it's just weaker in general. But maybe that's all connected. So let's stick with that pattern. Pulling with the right, pushing with the left foot. You should feel the hip flexor firing the left. Right glute. So this naturally will pull our pelvis a little forward on the left. So we want to try to correct that. So let's go both hands here, right on that bone. Chop into that. Pull your neck nice and tall. There's a lot to be said about just these stances and breathing. The platter, both hands reaching. Tighten that stomach, pull your head back. Still holding on to that. Pulling with the right foot, dragging the mat behind me, pushing with the left. Just stacking, getting tall, pulling the back of the head long. Keep the right hand here, raise the right hand a little bit more. Pull the left hand back. Giving a little nudge from my pelvis. Locking it where it should be. When I reach the right hand, it pulls the front of the right pelvis forward a little bit more. My hips are staying where they're at, so just the pelvis should be swiveling just a little bit. Bring it back on the left, bring it forward on the right. Then I try to hold it there. As I reach left hand to right. And it should be incredibly difficult. Get your fingertips together. I'm not exaggerating. You hold on to everything. It should feel like that, like you're moving through thick mud. Let's come back. Resetting. Pulling that right pelvis forward a little bit. Reaching with the right hand. Pulling the neck long, stiffening the spine. You feel how it wants to subtly shift forward again. So I'm trying to keep it back. See, if the pelvis pulls forward, what do the hips do? You're naturally here. Left turns out, right turns in. So when we engage the right glute, it's fixing our hips. Rotating those back, but the pelvis loves that because it loves being forward. So then we have to correct that. Lifting the spine, lengthening it, take some of that twist out naturally. Then I'm just reaching with the right hand, which rotates the spine and pelvis where we want it. Pulling the neck long, really hold, really breathe and brace. Hold on right there. I can feel I'm losing it. If you feel like you're losing, you're twisting back. Reset, strengthen. Feel a big stretch on the left backside of your diaphragm. And that QL muscle is. Right glute should be on fire. Good. Now we kind of do that naturally in foundation training when we do the split stance. We do something similar. I just like that feet together. That's not something they do. Just something I was playing around with yesterday. But we do get that here. The other day I went to work, I just felt like crap. Didn't have coffee that day. Headache was coming on. I just did some standing, breathing, which we'll run through here. So the front foot, when we're not hinging, we're just scissoring. Left foot's dragging the mat, right foot's pulling forward. So this will gauge my left glute. It's fine, still do that. You'll feel a little stretch here in the hip flexor. Put your measuring stick hands. Nice and tall. Knees loose, not super bent, not locked, just loose. Tighten the stomach, pulling the back of the head long. Go into long wing. I'm squeezing. So what I really like here is to go up to the sphere. And I'll drive my head way back, almost to where I want to fall backwards. But your left foot is holding onto the mat so strong that you're not going anywhere. It's grabbing. Arches of the foot are holding you there. It allows me to press my sphere almost at an angle. I pull my head up and back. My hips are slightly in front of my head. Pulling the back foot towards the front foot towards the back foot. So you're prying up in the back of the neck, really using the front. One more time. Switch it up here. So now my right foot's forward. Not a long stride here. I'm not going super long. Right foot, grabbing the mat, pulling it behind me. Left foot's responding, squeezing. Force without movement. It's nice and isometric. Not on a balance beam. I'm about, feet are hip width apart. It means they're underneath your hips. So they're still underneath. I don't want it angled funny where that foot is not underneath the hip. You can even go wider if that's comfortable. If you're shoulder width apart. If you feel like you're teetering here. Feel like you get better strength. I'd rather have that. Grabbing, squeezing, measuring stick hands. Right on your diaphragm. Your thumbs are on your diaphragm. So if that rib cage is lifting, you're like, oh, I can't reach it. Do some drags. Dr. Goodman taught me that one. You just like drag that rib cage. You're reminding yourself, down boy. It wants to lift. Pull it down. I'm squeezing.
it's going to create a lot of curve in my neck when I got this wrong. So I love going here because then I can help correct some of that neck. Really pull that head up and back more than I'm used to. I'm really using the right glutes. Left hamstring is stretching. All right, hip flexor stretching. Right in the front there, that's what you should feel. Breathing. Good, we'll keep that short. Let's do 100 swings. I know it sounds like a lot, it's not. 100 swings. I'm going a little wider just so I don't smash myself here. Just keep those mechanics. Try to remember that long neck. You should already feel like your neck is giraffe-like. Nice and long. That's what we want. Take these off so I don't flap my face. Let's do 100 and then we'll say Shabbat Shalom. Goodbye. Toda. Boker Tov. Lock that neck in. Chin back, chest up. Try to keep this position the whole time. Neck fully extend. The head way back. Stiff spine. Halfway. It's harder on the grip, that wider handle. So we can be more explosive with the glutes. Getting that head way back, which helps reset it. But also, what a lot of people miss is to start getting that posterior pelvic tilt. They're not focusing on the backswing. That's one good reason I can make for the kettlebell flip. Which doesn't work well with this. But the flip kind of gets momentum. And it's like someone's standing there pushing that kettlebell. And you're like, whoa! That's what I want. You really was pulling back. Pull back with your hinge. Pull back with your arms. Hit the front of the body to fire. Like you got a sledgehammer here. Smashing, smashing, smashing that floor. Don't actually smash the floor, but get a little Hulk smash going in your life. Yeah, more burn here than I'm used to. Long, wide grip. Yeah, if you're a girl, I think this kettlebell is probably impossible. I don't snatch with it. If you're a big guy, this might feel more comfortable. Even my hands are a little girly, they're a little small. But it's a good option if you're a man, big man, big hands. We can still probably do stuff with it, but it's just awkward. But for the price, looking for something cheap, it's better than nothing. 10. Good work. Hope that was more encouraging than it was something slowly killing you. Just something you already knew. Right? Now you just know what is killing you. You know who your enemy is. It's your left diaphragm. So I'm not the bearer of bad news. Sometimes I feel that way. But in this life, it's good to know who you're fighting. And you can combat it. You're not going to win, but you'll preserve your body a little bit longer. Rotate the phone. Take care, guys. Have a good day of rest.